Good morning. Congratulations on your win for mayor. I do hope that life is treating you well. Now would be the time where I would say to someone like you in your position that I know your time is extremely valuable and you're busy as the whole entire city of Chicago is trying to reach you. I don't want to add to that. Unfortunately, I cannot tell a lie. It's the complete opposite. I believe we may be here for a little while, but I could assure you, Jesus Christ looking at me now, Father looking at me now, my grandma looking at me now from up above. If you do what I respectfully ask, I promise you on my soul that you will fix Chicago. And all of this nonsense will disappear within a blink of an eye. I promise you, out of all of these decades that Chicago has been bad, if you do what I respectfully ask, you will make history in Chicago and in the country for being the mayor to actually fix it. So, I gotta give you two compliments on something before this begins, really fast. It's just on my mind and I think it's appropriate. I like when you first took office not that long ago, and there was a team takeover in downtown. The next morning, news reporters asked you about that. Why didn't you fix that, is what they asked. What are you going to do about it? How do you feel about it? Your answer was really honest and sharp and direct. You told them property didn't change overnight. I like that. That was a good answer. My rich friends, my corporate America friends, my banker friends, my lawyer friends, who are clearly very smart and clearly have an endless amount of money, they said the same thing that you said about fixing Chicago. Education, 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 and education. Poverty, poverty, poor, poor, poor. You guys are all correct. I mean, you can't be wrong. You're the mayor. They can't be wrong. They're millionaires. That you can't be wrong. It's kind of hard for me to go against that. I believe you guys and women. That's great. The only problem with that is even if we were to dump all the money that we had access to into education and property, that's not going to change overnight, as I believe you've already stated. Even if we were to throw every single dollar that we can at property and poor people and education, that's going to take a minimum, and I'm being very generous when I say this, that's going to take a very minimum of 10 years. It's a great plan, but that's a 10-year plan down the road. Those results are for 10 years. We need answers now. We need results now. I tell my rich friends this, my banker friends this, my lawyer friends this. They say, yeah, you're right. It is going to take a long time. Thank you. And I hope that you feel the same way. But, nevertheless, you guys go ahead and continue on doing what you're doing for your 10-year plan to see results down the road. I have answers that can be fixed over the weekend. Definitely, without a doubt, in a season. Before I provide you all these answers, Mayor, there is one negative part in this video. I don't think it's going to be respectful at all, but there is something heavily on my mind that does not want me to not address this. So I'm just going to get the negative part out of the way now. I've already sent most of these answers to former corrupt Mayor Rahm Emanuel, who clearly didn't care about black people. I handed this in his own hand. He didn't return my phone call. I've already sent all of these answers to former Mayor Lori Lightfoot. Her public safety department guy at the time told me that I was from the future. He told me that he loved these plans. He told me they were incredible. These were all his own words. But he also told me that he was not in the position to do any of this. And this is up to the mayor. Okay. So I say to myself, with all respect to you, Mayor, obviously I didn't tell him this because I don't want to be rude. I don't want to be disrespectful. He gave me his time, so there's no reason to argue on this. But I say to myself that you are the head of the public safety for the city of Chicago. You are getting paid for doing this. You just got done giving me some compliments on these operations to fix Chicago. What do you mean you're not in a position to do this? What exactly are you in a position for? To set up Zoom calls with the citizens of Chicago and have the meeting go nowhere? That's what was in my head. Now, by me telling him that, it just probably would have frustrated him, possibly ended the Zoom meeting, which it was going to end anyway, and we would all still be stuck here. The reason why I'm telling you this, sir, is because the same friends that I have, they advise me my answers are correct, but Brandon Johnson will not be able to put any of your proposals into an effect. And I think you know that, Eric. But Brandon Johnson's the mayor. That's where they just walk away. So, that's the only negative part. The rest of this video is going to be an amazing roller coaster for all of us, Mayor. When I was a kid, more than likely when you were a kid, I played Nintendo. I played Sega Genesis. I can't speak for you, Mayor, but I'm going to take a wild guess and say you played video games too. That's what we were into. That's what we were introduced to. Riding bikes. That's what we were introduced to. Dinos, GT Performers, Mongoose, Pegs, Super Mario Brothers, Contra, Zelda, Sonic. We were introduced to that when we were kids. Unfortunately, extremely, very sad to say, and very, if you don't mind my French, very troubling and fucked up, some of these kids are into guns and shooting and bullets, and they have been introduced to guns and the gun world. As you and me were introduced to Nintendo, These kids were introduced to guns and shooting for fun. So while you guys are working on education and property, which is at that point of the timeline, I'm working on planting a seed in all of those young children's minds at that timeline. Way over there. When you plant a seed, the seed grows, and it grows in time. I've already went back to practically when they were first born, and I'm going to plant my own seed. And unfortunately, it's not going to be Nintendo, as I don't think they would appreciate the graphics. What would I like to plant? American History X. Boys in the Hood. South Central. Those are three beyond historical, great learning movies that have an extreme powerful message. We put in place and get permission slips from every parent, or at the very least the majority of the parents, to allow the teachers at the Chicago public schools to play the movie for these children, American History X. That movie is beyond so powerful, it hits your brain cells extremely hard. That movie never leaves your head. The bottom line is, the agenda is, the goal is, at the end of that movie, each and every single one of those kids at the Chicago public schools will say to themselves, wow, racist is the most dumbest shit that is out there. Being racist got every single person in that movie, American History X, absolutely nowhere. After they see that movie at a certain age, they're all going to say to themselves, that's just the dumbest shit ever. That's the beginning. Education is great, property is great, that's down there. Those results are down there. You, my rich friends, my smart friends, you guys are down there. I'm over here trying to get you guys over here. And I think we can do it. Second movie, Boys in the Hood. That's a classical movie. That's a learning experience movie. After they watch that movie, they'll start to figure out, why is there a liquor store in every corner in the black community? They'll start to figure out, because they want you to kill yourselves. They want you to kill each other. You go to Orland Park, you don't see that shit. They will get educated on the poison, and in reality, very, very, very early in their age, Mayor. Last not least, South Central. after they watch that movie, they will say to themselves and know to themselves, my dad wasn't in my life either. And this is the outcome. Those are all three educational movies. That starts it. I hate to look back in the past, but the only reason why we should look in the past is to learn from the past so we don't make the same mistake again. I guarantee you, without a doubt in my mind, that former corrupt Mayor Rahm Emanuel listened to me, and these movies were playing in the last 15 years since he was here, we would not be here right now. Chicago would not be in the situation right now. Hundreds of kids would still be alive. There would be an extremely amount of less racism going on. It's a fact of life, sir. Some may argue and say those movies are graphic. Some scenes could be cut out. Hollywood has made a version for those people who argue that. You clearly have a huge connections with the Chicago Teachers Union. I quite frankly think it's one phone call for you. That's a time machine that you have right now. That may be the biggest time machine and the biggest plan that you can use right now for that. 4 years goes by fast. The older we get, the more time flies. You'll be looking back at this in 4 years from now. You remember that video that Chicago Blaxican made? Yeah, I actually listened to him. That worked. I have spoken to a lot of kids in the ghetto. They learned that racism is just the dumbest shit. Next. That's going to happen in 4 years from now, even if those movies were to play. Everyone else's plan is 10 years. I'm only 4 years right now. Psychology and technology. Peanut butter and jelly. Cheeseburger. There's no burger without the cheese. Psychology and technology. Take Englewood for an example. Take Little Village for a great example. Allegedly, there's 3 gangs in Little Village. One on this block, one on that block, one on this block. Allegedly, in Englewood, there's 3 gangs. One on this block, one on that block, one on this block. Every time something happens, the Chicago police investigators are knocking on people's doors, asking if they have any surveillance video footage. I'm okay. If we were to set up cameras with facial recognition on this block, that block, and this block, the Chicago Police Department would not need to get the door slammed on their face when people scream at them, telling them to get your own fucking cameras, telling them that we don't talk to the police, telling them that we can't talk to the police out of fear of a retaliation. It's actually quite simple, Mayor. And I know a little bit about this because I used to work in a control room during the good old days. You have a mansion. Where do you start to clean up the house? You're not going to clean up the mansion all in one day. You got to start somewhere. So let's just start with one room. Let's perfect that one room. And when we clean and perfect that one room, we copy and paste what we did from that one room to the next room, to the next room. And all we have to do is paste, 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 paste from there. But let's copy right now, you and me, if you don't mind. You have a ward. Let's use Englewood. You get a newspaper, the Chicago Sun-Times, the Chicago Tribune. On the front page of that newspaper, it reads, Englewood or Camerawood. Each and every single person in Englewood gets that newspaper delivered to them for free. Every resident, every home, it gets delivered to them for free. You don't have to open up the newspaper. You could just look at the front page and it's going to say Englewood or Camerawood. Almost every single person in Englewood is going to open up that newspaper because it's in their ward. They're going to read it. Their moms are going to read it. Their grandmas are going to read it. Their brothers are going to read it. Everyone is going to read it. And it's pretty much going to say, there's 10 cameras on this block. There's 10 cameras in that alley. They are numbered 1 through 10. The alley is numbered 1 through 10. There's 10 more cameras on this block because that's a gang territory. Those numbers are 1 through 10. There's 10 more cameras right here for this gang block and this gang territory. Those numbers are 1 through 10. All those gang members are going to say to themselves, the bird in the sky, we can't do anything at all. Hey, let's move to the next block. Great. There's cameras there, 1 through 10. Shoot at a baby again. You will get captured. It will be on video. It will be Exhibit A for the prosecutor. Now this is where it gets interesting. At the Chicago Police Department in Englewood, at every single Chicago Police Department in Chicago, they're going to have this. But right now, we're not pasting, we're just copying. At the Chicago Police Department in Englewood, there is going to be a control room. There's going to be, at the very minimum, 3 people watching those surveillance cameras 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The cameras are going to be listed 1 through 60, if my math is correct. There will be 60 cameras in that ward. Absolutely everything and anything that happens, those officers in the camera control room will be able to pull it up. Now this is where the intelligent part comes in. This is where the genius part comes in. Let's just say I have some people who say, Eric, they don't care about the cameras. They're going to do it anyway. I will go along with you on some of that statement. Some of them will do it anyway. Some of them are stupid enough to do it anyway. Okay, great. Now it will be extremely easier for the Chicago investigators to get you and identify you, to get you off the street so you will not ever do this again. That Chicago police officer, unfortunately, who made her transition home to heaven, those people who robbed her, those demons who shot her, do you think that was their first time robbing someone? Do you think that was their first time shooting at someone? If Rahm Emanuel and Lightfoot listened to me before, I guarantee you that officer would still be alive from this day. Unfortunately, we can't go back and it's irrelevant. What happened, happened. But you and me, we could change that right now. I cannot emphasize enough. I cannot repeat myself enough. I cannot stress out enough. These cameras will make the Chicago investigators' lives extremely, extremely easier. These cameras will prevent the crimes before they even happen. These cameras will not let someone go after committing crime the first time. I respectfully ask of you to think about that officer who passed away. Those three demons would have never, ever been at her house once she got off from her shift. They would have been in Illinois Department of Corrections from the first time that they robbed somebody. It all could have been prevented. Next. You still with me, brother? Yeah, you're still with me. I like that. Thank you. I know your time is valuable. I know it is. But we're going to be here for a little while. You'll thank me later. I promise you. I promise you, brother. You will thank me later. Next, we get a hold of the Chicago Teachers Union. We have the parents sign permission slips. It's going to be a field trip. Field trips are fun. I love field trips. I miss field trips, actually. Field trips are good. You get on the yellow bus, you put the little seatbelt on, the green smell. It was the seat. Field trips are fun. We're not going to the zoo, boys and girls. Not today. We're not going to Great America, boys and girls. Not today. We are going to the Chicago Police Department. Was it the Chicago Police Department? The Chicago Police Department has a control room full of cameras in your ward. We want you to meet those Chicago police officers in that control room. We want you to see the monitors in that control room. We want to show you and let you control the camera. We want you to zoom in. See the control room that I used to work at? It had a remote and it had a stick, kind of like the arcade game with Pac-Man back in the 80s and the 90s. But with this control room, or with this control, I could turn the remote stick to the right. And as I turned, it zoomed in to see if someone has a contact on. And then as I turned it the other way, it zoomed out to see everything, the description, the hat, the hair, the race, description from the top to the bottom. those kids are going to be able to control and zoom in. They're going to see their homes. The cops are going to ask, hey kid, where do you live? What block do you live at? He's going to say over here. Oh, okay. Cop is going to pull it up because he got cameras 1 through 60. He's going to punch in camera 25. Yeah. Is this your block? That kid is going to see his block. He's going to see the corner. He's going to see the stop sign. He's going to see the gum that was left on the concrete. And all the kids are going to have a good time. And all the kids are going to say to themselves, wow, here's where the intelligence comes in, Mayor. Later on, when they go back to their ward and their blocks, those kids are going to be walking and they're going to be looking up and they're going to be saying, oh my God, I went on a field trip. You know that Chicago cop could zoom in right now to see if I have a gun on me? You know that Chicago cop could zoom in to see if I have a contact with me? The seed has been planted over there before they have decided to commit a crime, before they have decided to get a gun. Remember, you and my rich friends, you guys are over here. Great. I'm trying to get you brothers over here with me. Now that I think about it, I'm the one who should have millions of dollars. They're over there. How are they rich and I'm not? Just saying. Here's the intelligence. We're going on another field trip, boys and girls. We're not going to the zoo. Not today. We're going to Statesville Prison. Right over here in Joliet. Obviously, we would have to get permission slips. I believe with 100% concrete, there are going to be mothers who sign those permission slips ASAP. We take these kids to Statesville. Rows and rows and rows and rows of bars. There's one section that those kids have access to. One section of inmates, one section, and one section only, fully protected. Those kids see how those inmates are living. Those kids see that small prison cell. Those kids figure out that those inmates are there every single day for 18 hours a day. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Those kids will see that they are there for their birthdays, Mother's Day, Christmas Eve, Christmas, New Year's. Those kids will see that those inmates are there for Thanksgiving. It's a scary environment. It's depressing. They will see that over there at an early stage in their lives. You can set up something with the Illinois Department of Corrections and or the governor's office. Have at least 10 inmates who are there for carjacking. Have at least 10 inmates who are there for murder. Give them some extra commissary. More than likely they'll agree to it. We have a field trip of some kids from the Chicago public schools. We want them to see where life ends up for them if they decide to take the road that you have taken, inmate. We will give you some commissary, and we will talk to the governor about giving you a few months off or some good time from your sentence. Would you like to talk to these kids and tell them your story and how you landed in here? More than likely, the inmates are going to do it. Some of them will. And the kids are going to be looking at those inmates through the bar. Everyone is safe. Through the glass. Everyone is safe. That inmate in the glass is going to tell the kids, I landed in here because I made a stupid mistake in my life. I carjacked somebody. I thought it was cool. My friends told me it was cool. We were having fun. I got 20 years in this cell for that one stupid dumb mistake because I had a gun. All those kids in their heads, they're never going to forget that day. I'm just showing them their future if they continue down that road. I'm just a tour guide. I'm just a car from Back to the Future. I'm the DeLorean. It'll work. I promise you. We're planting the seeds in their heads before the gun seed got planted. The carjacking seed got planted. Before we played video games, you and me. They're carjacking. They're shooting. That's cool to them. That's their video game. I'm trying to show them where their video game is going to lead them. I'm an expert at planting seeds, Mayor. One terrible thing that Lori Lightfoot has said is she said that there is not one person who can fix Chicago. That was the dumbest statement that I've ever heard of in my life. You go to Langley, I guarantee you without a doubt in my mind, the janitor at the CIA will be able to fix Chicago. You go to the NSA, I guarantee you without a doubt in my life, the janitor at the National Security Agency knows how to fix Chicago. Go to the Pentagon, I guarantee you they know how to fix Chicago with the snap of a finger. The problem is they're doing other stuff to protect us so we don't end up like the residents and the people at Ukraine. I'm the closest thing to the NSA and to the CIA and to Langley that Chicago has. That's just the reality of it. Extremely, very sad to say, I don't work for the NSA or the CIA. I think that'd be pretty cool. But I could assure you that I am the closest living thing to them in Chicago when it comes to fixing Chicago. You still with me, brother? Yeah, I like that. You're still with me. Stay with me, brother. I know it's 38 minutes right now. If you need to take a break, that's great. I'm on a roll right now, brother. Now, those are the few things that we can do. Operation Chicago is for everybody in Chicago. Operation Chicago is for the people in Englewood, and it's for the people in Little Village. Operation Chicago is for the Chicago Police Department, the Illinois State Police Department. It's for everyone in Chicago. That's what Operation Chicago is. It's an operation in Chicago for everyone in Chicago. Now, the Chicago police, right now, they are victims as much as poor people are. And I don't need to mention those poor people's colors because I already know you and I both know they're black and brown. But the Chicago police are victims too. They're stressed. They have anxiety. They feel unappreciated. Actually, the cops I talked to, very sad, they're counting down their years of retirement the same way that inmates did in prison. That's fucked up. When you go to work and you're counting your... That's just messed up. An inmate in prison counting his or her time? Alright, I understand that one, but when you're a Chicago cop and you're counting down the years and the months so you can get out of here, that's pretty sad that you have to do all that time. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, one of your job description is to try to appease everyone in the Chicago. Easier said than done. You have a difficult job. I would start here with the Chicago Police Department. Officer Ella G. French. One of the reasons why she made her transition back home to heaven, with the exception of the guy who shot her was just a demon straight from hell and was intoxicated and feeling some type of way from listening to rap music in the car and had a weapon and shot her. The other reason why she has been shot is because there's not an Officer Ella G. French app. When an officer gets out of his or her vehicle to approach another vehicle that they have pulled over, I don't care what any of them tell me, that is an extreme, very dangerous situation. That officer has absolutely no idea who's in that car, what's in that car, and what they may do. That officer has absolutely no idea if the person they pulled over has a passenger in his car with 2 warrants for a double murder. You're walking up to the unknown. That bulletproof vest barely protects your vest. It doesn't protect anything else of your body. It's dangerous. I had officers bullshit me and tell me that's my job. I think it's just time that we walk away. You're gambling with your life. I'm telling you right now that that's dangerous. And I think from a serious psychology point of view, you're just telling me that that's your job because you don't have anything else to say besides, yeah, Eric, you're right, it is dangerous. I fear for my life when I go up and pull up somebody. You're right. And that's just life for me. Okay. Well, now we're talking, sweetheart. What an Officer Ella G. French Atmare is, when an officer pulls a car over, that officer doesn't get out of his or her vehicle. All that officer does is push the button, and there's a camera that points outside of that officer's license plate or windshield, and it reads automatically who that car belongs to. When the officer pulls that person over, he pushes the button in his cop car. It's FaceTime. But it's Officer Ella G. French time. It's an app. FaceTime has FaceTime. Zoom has Zoom. This will have a picture of Officer Ella G. French, and it's still FaceTime. When that officer pushes that button, he is contacting and communicating the vehicle that he or she has pulled over. In that vehicle, for the person who got pulled over, they press accept, and it will state the same way with Zoom. Before this begins, we have to let you know that this conversation is being audio and video recorded. And that's where the officer says, "Hello, my name is Officer so-and-so, my badge number is blah, 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 blah. I'm from the Chicago Police Department. How are you doing today?" That's when that vehicle responds back, stating, "I'm doing good. How are you?" Then the officer responds back, "The reason why I pulled you over is because you have an expired license plate sticker." If that were to happen, and that app was around, Officer Elegy French would still be here from this day. I think it's safe to say that she pretty much lost her life over some stupid expired sticker. And because we could not protect her to come up with this technology the same way Mark Zuckerberg did and Zoom did. But we are where we are now. Together, you and Secretary of State could save some future officers. Now, I have some people in my ear. I love them. My surroundings don't agree with me. My surroundings don't kiss my ass. My surroundings make me work to prove my case. My surroundings want evidence, video, data. They want numbers. My surroundings are dealing with millionaires giving $1 million loans out. They're pretty smart. How would this start and happen, Eric? How would these kids know? Well, Secretary of State. When you get your driver's license, you have to take a class in high school. You have to go to the Secretary of State. There's a numerous amount of questions. One of those questions is, when you get pulled over, what are you supposed to do? Get out of the car? Run? Or remain calm and accept the officer's call for the Officer Elegy French app? When you get your driver's license at the age of 16, Mayor, you go to the Secretary of State. Before you get your license, you download on your phone the Officer Elegy French app. Everyone's familiar with Officer Elegy French app in high school. Everyone is familiar with the Officer Elegy French app. That's the new way of life for when you get pulled over. And it's not even just about Officer Elegy French who went home. This prevents a lot. I think it's safe to say that you and I both know there have been an extremely amount, more than enough, innocent people to get shot in the passenger seat. I think it's safe to say this will save a lot of trouble. You still with me, brother? That's why I like you, man. Carjackings. Carjackers. Well, I believe my intelligence has prevented that from taking the kids on a field trip to Statesville and showing them the cameras. But let's just say there's some left over. Okay. you would create an app called Carjacked that will also be available at the Secretary of State when you get your driver's license and renew your driver's license. What that app is, it's government owned. There's a whole entire department dedicated, and it's called Carjack Department. Tom Dart's a genius. Tom Dart has a good heart. I like him. He's on to something. He's just not. He's not here. But let's just face the facts. Who really is? Tom Dart says that the car manufacturers are not cooperating with him. I believe him. I don't think there's no lying in him. Great. Unfortunately, not unfortunately. Well, unfortunately for this particular situation, unfortunately the car manufacturers are not required to listen to the government and assist the government in finding and locating stolen cars. Tom Dart stopped, as far as I'm concerned, from the media reports that I have seen. He stopped there and just blames them. I don't stop at all. I'm not going to let a few car manufacturers stop my plans. I'm not about to let a few car salesmen continue on letting carjackers ruin people's lives and every day of living. This is my project. I'm responsible. I tried the car manufacturers. They told me no. No worries. Thank you for your time. You don't work for government. You don't have to assist me. Fine. I'll do this myself. I'll make a video and send it to Mayor Brandon Johnson and request and ask him, let's create our own app called Carjacked. Every single time someone gets their driver's license, they download Carjacked, and their info is registered with their car. If my plan didn't work from Statesville prison, this will work with certainty. You're driving down the street in the city of Chicago. Some demons and some people who have made some bad choices decided to pull out a gun and put it to your face and said, "Give me your car." That person gets out, gives them the car, and they go on their phone and they push Carjack app. That Carjack app, it eliminates the 911 call. It eliminates the time of that victim telling the 911 dispatcher his or her name, the make of the car. It eliminates all that. Once that button is pushed, the representatives from the Carjack department will see that that particular car, that make, that model, that color, that year of the car is driving down this street right here. And all the units in that area will go to that car ASAP before that car commits a murder. Pretty sexy, isn't it? It's a beautiful thing. Feels pretty good to save a life, prevent a life. Now remember, my rich friends, who clearly have millions of dollars that I should have, they question me. Devil advocate with me. Great, I like that. Turns me on. What if the carjackers take their phone and they won't be able to push that Carjack app? It's all right. Sometimes that does happen. We just don't know. Every situation is different. Sometime Carjackers just want your car and they won't do anything to you from a physical point of view. Other times, carjackers will take your car and they'll shoot you on the way. Other times, carjackers will take your car and just pistol whip you one time. All of these situations are different. There are cases where they will take your phone, and there are cases where they will just take your car and not your phone, because those are the ones who just want your car to commit a crime. But that's a good point that you bring up. That person who just got carjacked is obviously going to start screaming. And it's only going to be a matter of minutes until a good civilian comes by and lets them use their phone, and they still don't call 911. They still don't waste that time, Mayor. They still don't waste the time of describing the car and the location. They push that carjack app on the good civilian's phone. And when they call that carjack app and that dispatcher, they are going to say, I am using someone else's phone because my phone has got taken. Can I give you my personal phone number so you could track my vehicle right now? The dispatch center, carjack agents, there's about 10 of them, 15 of them. That's all they do. It's a building dedicated just for carjack. It's like a 911 dispatch center, but it's dedicated only for that carjacked. Every single person in high school and in 8th grade and 7th grade will take this class. They will be familiar and educated with these dispatchers. It's only a matter of time, brother, until they realize carjacking people with the car is a complete waste of time, because we're only going to have less than 1 minute with it, and they will catch up to us. Remember that prison that we went to on a field trip? That guy got 10 years for doing that. You still with me, brother? Yeah, you're still with me. See, I like that shit. This video is getting long, and I gotta go smoke a carton of cigarettes. I'll add in one more thing. There's a lot more other things that you could find on Operation Chicago, but let me add in one more thing, as this is extremely important. You have the company ShotSpotter. It's a controversy, as I'm sure you are aware. A numerous amount of people are saying that ShotSpotter is a waste of time and certainly a waste of money. I would have to agree with them only for the time being. It's very clear that ShotSpotter, they just want their money. They don't care about preventing lives. It's something so simple. It's just a microphone that picks up a certain amount of decimals. So when a loud bang goes off, it alerts the dispatcher, they alert the police. That car is gone. It's a waste of money. But nevertheless, I got good news for ShotSpotter. I got good news for you. I got good news for the people who think ShotSpotter is a waste. I got good news for everybody, Mayor. Someone shoots a gun, ShotSpotter goes off, the cops get there, and it's over with. It's beyond common sense that someone who shoots a gun isn't going to stick around and wait for the police. He or she is going to peel off as fast as they can. Every time the cop gets there, he's just looking around, asking witnesses. He or she doesn't know what's going on. And how can they? What I'm proposing, and what my intelligence says, is we keep ShotSpotter going, and we put 4 cameras on ShotSpotter. North, east, south, west. When a gun goes off, just like the Ring cameras, just like the Nest cameras, it detects motion. When a gun goes off, this detects decimals from sound, waves. All four of those cameras roll. Now, when the cop gets there, when the investigators get there, they just look at the cameras. They see the make of the car. They see the license plate. The dispatch center says this car is traveling north right now as we speak. Because remember, we have a control room and a camera system in every part of the Chicago Police Department. Cameras 1 through 60. At the very minimum, 1 through 30. Sexy, isn't it? And everybody wins. I prefer those cameras on ShotSpotter. They roll 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And as usual, in 7th grade, 6th grade, 8th grade, and in high school, we take the kids to the ShotSpotters and we show them how it works out. There is that huge argument that people say there's not enough police. We've already tried that. Unfortunately, Gary McCarthy, the worst superintendent in the history of Chicago, who was just Rahm Emanuel's girlfriend and just did everything he wanted him to do. If there was one thing I remember from that jackass, he was bitching about we need more cops. That's all he wanted. That was his magic solution. That was his magic answer. He begged for that. He begged for that. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they gave him what he wanted for the 4th of July weekend. $1.2 billion in overtime for more cops. I was willing to give him the benefit at the time. Monday comes, it was a complete bloodbath in Chicago. Same news reporter goes up to him and says, "You wanted more cops, what happened?" That was the first and only time that Gary McCarthy was ever honest in his life, at the very least honest to the public through the media. His response was, I don't know. I don't know. Okay. It's all right. I know. I know. And now I believe, Mayor Johnson, you know. You're Batman. You're a superhero. You have all the answers. Gotta run. I do really want to thank you for using your time to watching this video. I sincerely hope that you do all of these things. I sincerely hope that my smart friends are wrong when they say that they won't let you. We all have a short time down here on Earth. Our time is limited. Life is short. There have been some serious people to made America the way it was. We had a good childhood. Could have been better. Could have been worse, though. We had a great childhood, and that was from some people. You. Not me. I'm trying to move back to the suburbs and do other stuff. It's been an experience coming back to Chicago. Not me. you. As I mentioned before, you could make history. Every single time a mayor starts running, they don't get reelected. Why? Well, the research says voters demanded public safety, and that mayor failed. I think you want to continue on being mayor and mayor and mayor and mayor and mayor. You could be mayor for the rest of this lifetime if you do it right. Everyone wins. It's not fair that a 6-year-old kid is more than likely going to get shot because he's poor and black. It's not fair that a child who is just in 8th grade grew up where he grew up is more than likely going to end up in prison because he's poor and black. He doesn't even know what the suburbs are. As adults, it's our job to guide him, to help him, to fix him. It's not fair for these Chicago police officers to be stressed and depressed, just like me. That's our job. It's not my job. Matter of fact, I think I'm doing a lot of people's jobs. Let me go before I say some other dumb things. Thank you for your time. God bless. You know how to reach me. Let's make history. I know what I'm doing. Trust me. I'm not the CIA. Unfortunately, very sad to say, but I'm the closest living thing to them that you or anyone else that you know are going to get. I promise you that. Trust me. I could help all of this for free. No money, no recognition, no job. As a matter of fact, I'm going to keep this video up for a short period of time, and then I'm going to delete it. I'm pretty sure the other government agencies who are monitoring me, like a hawk for other reasons, well, they're going to save it too. God bless. Hey, guys, while you're monitoring me, don't you think you should be kind of contacting Mayor Johnson and saying, hey, you have some answers to fix Chicago? I like that we. No, me. Me have some answers to fix Chicago, not you. God bless. Good luck.